being snatched. We're going to challenge it in the court of law, and we're going to fight for every vote that was casted for us.
Thank you for staying with us. Of course, you know, we just listened to the candidate of the Labour Party again, before which you heard the re-elected governor of Lagos State. Let's quickly dash to Nasarawa State, where Governor Abdullahi Sule has been announced winner of Nasarawa State governorship election. The returning officer of the governorship election in the state, Professor Tanko Ishaya, declared that Sule Odu of the All Progressives Congress polled 347,209 to beat his closest contender, David Ombogadu of the People's Democratic Party, who got 283,016 votes.
Tanko Ishaya, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Jos, and the state returning officer for the governorship election for Nasarawa State, having satisfied the requirements and having received the total votes of 347,209 votes by the APC, with the candidate Sule Audu Alhaji is hereby returned and declared the winner of the governorship election in Nasarawa State.
Very satisfied.
Well, there was a swift reaction to that announcement by the returning officer in Nasarawa State by the People's Democratic Party. Apparently not satisfied with the result disclosed, they are seeking redress in court, according to them. The All Progressives Congress say it will also challenge the local government areas that have been won by the PDP.
It's not strange with those who are desperate to occupy government place. Our reaction is to the fact that we are not accepting the outcome of this result that has just been announced, as we see that it is full with desperation and falsehood in the collation process. It has also violated all norms known to the electoral law. We have a collation of all our results from polling units before now as uploaded. We have collation of all our polling unit results as issued to our agents. But surprisingly, 2 words alone was uttered and inflated to beat us by surprise, or by hook or by crook, after results were collected and known from our respective polling units. So we are not surprised that anyone who wants to occupy your place can do anything. So we are not satisfied with the outcome of this election, and we will stop at nothing to ensure that we challenge this process to the highest limit so that we restore our mandate, the people's given mandate.
We are also challenging the places they own. We are challenging Karu, we are challenging Nasarawa Igong, we are challenging Akwanga, we are challenging Obi and other places that they did not follow due process. So he is free to challenge, and he knows where to go. The declaration has been made, and it is still, we are still on the process. The process still goes on.
Well, despite the dusk to dawn curfew that was announced in Kano to avoid breakdown of law and order following tensions generated from the collation of results for the governorship and state assembly elections, these are Kano supporters of the New Nigeria People's Party celebrating on the streets. The State Commissioner for Information and Internal Affairs, Malam Mohammed Garba, had made the announcement earlier this morning. And this was a decision, he said, was to prevent hoodlums from causing chaos to the already tense situation. But we have these guys, adults, young adults, and even some children celebrating.
Such scenes was in the post-election, well, was it, would I say post-election really? Because it was in the presidential election of 1993 when it seemed that the winner was already coasting home. But then what happened, and then of course the same enthusiasm with which people went out to vote and celebrated was the same enthusiasm with which they came out to protest against the military government at the time.
Jeffrey, the battleground state.
Yeah, apparently this is a key battleground state. Over 5 million people collected their PVCs. It's only next to Lagos, so you can understand. And at the beginning of the show, we talked about how it's been a battle for the incumbent and the man who handed over to him. Apparently, they've been friends for a while, for a long time. But now, this is showing that, look, I own this space when it comes to the politics of this state.
Well, I guess
it's a movement.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it all goes at the end of the day. You know, my mind keeps going back to the fact that, look, let's not just stop at voting people in. We gave them a job. We have to have a performance review from time to time. I guess our guests will be able to put us through that. But in the meantime, just to let you know that we have information that Bauchi State Collation Center is already active. The call will be made pretty soon, to use your word, Jeffrey. Bauchi State will soon be called, and when that time is right, we'll most certainly let you know. And
we'll see what the voter turnout is as well in Bauchi, because you remember from the data of INEC, 99% of the people in Bauchi, 2.72 million people collected their PVCs out of the 2.74.
Yeah, and that's what you can see on your screen right now is the Bauchi State Collation Center. And
we understand that the collation officers, you know, even for the local government areas are all there. There's security presence there as well. It was a bit more about collation of the last local government result, which was set to resume there. So, you know, that is underway. And
let's not forget
a lot of people are looking forward to that announcement.
Let's not forget that that's one of the states where the governor is seeking re-election. According to somebody referred to him as a G1 governor. You know, we have the G5.
Yes, we do.
So they say he's a G1 governor. So he's one of the 11 governors seeking re-election in that region of the country. That's the Northeast. Remember that about 5 of the 6 governors in that region are seeking re-election. So the calls will come pretty soon. Yeah,
well, one of the calls that we're also expecting is Abia State, and our correspondent is standing by, Topa Kutei, to give us an update. Topa, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we're back here at the Collation Center here at the INEC headquarters in Umaya, the Abia State capital. And before the collation was adjourned yesterday by the returning officer, Professor Inenaya Oti, 10 local governments, results from 10 local governments have been collated. Well, we're still waiting for results from 7 local government areas across the 17 local government areas you have in Abia State. And so far, out of these 10 local governments, the Labour Party has 5 local government, while the PDP too has 5 local government. But presently, from the results collated, the Labour Party is leading with about 13,000 votes presently, and we're still waiting. The returning officer says by 10 a.m. just today we'll begin collation from the other local government areas of the state.
So that's in about 32 minutes, but seeing as 10 were already called, were there any objections by party agents?
Yeah, very well. There's been accusations and counter accusations, especially especially in when the result of Isiala Ungwa North was called yesterday. I'm trying to bring up let me just say presently Ukwa East, Umunechi local government, Ukwa West, Bende local government, Isiala Ungwa North, Isiala Ungwa South, Arochukwu, Ugunagbo, Isikwato, and Ukanowe. So during the announcement of that, the results from Isiala Ungwa North, there were objections by the party agents, accusations and counter-accusations. And when I spoke to the electoral officer yesterday, he said the point was that there was an incident at Ward 9, polling unit 012, Amapu Village Square. The thugs came and scattered everything and ran away with the beavers machine, but at the end they were able to recover some, and that was the only place he knew that there were incidents. But the agent of the People's Democratic Party here was objecting that wasn't the only place. That several areas across Isiala Ungwa North local government area, there were issues of overvoting, issues of ballot box snatching, thuggery, and all. But one thing I will say is from the words of the returning officer, she says, for the fact that the results here are collated does not mean it's valid until the results are reviewed and according to electoral laws, according to INEC electoral laws. So for now, we're still waiting for the commencement of the collation of the remaining 7 local government areas of the state. And you know, it's normal, the accusations and counter-accusations by drama yesterday at this collation center, but the returning officer was able to bring everything under control.
I wanted to find out from you, it just crossed my mind that usually in the South is today, Monday, the incident of sit at home. Is that having any effect on what is going on there?
No, for now we've been moving around, especially today that is Monday, we've been moving around, and there's nothing like sit at home for today. And just like I've been saying, you know, the speculations before now about threats of people not coming out to vote, people should sit at home and not come out to exercise their freedom. It's not been evident here during this election, not only in Abia State, in the entire Southeast. People have defied the threats or whatever to come out and exercise their civic responsibility.
Well, you know, Tokwe, just one more thing before we let you go. As at this moment, there are 85.89% of results that have been uploaded on IREV from Abia State. Is there any reference from any of the party agents or anyone at all concerning whether or not there are issues with what is being announced as opposed to what is on the IREV? Any references?
Yes. The candidate, the agent of the YPP, to be precise, anytime it comes up to question some of the results that were put there, is always making reference to the ones on the IREV. Because as of yesterday before the end of the collation, we heard that about over 90% of the results in Abia State is on the IREV. So, but he is always countering those, because they said there is some of the results uploaded on the IREV is different from some of the results. But that was why the returning officer says, for the fact that the results have been collated here and received, it does not make it valid until it is reviewed according to INEC electoral laws.
Well, we thank you very much for your reporting, and since you're already at the location, most certainly expect that you would give us some updates as soon as you have them. Thank you so much, Tokwe. That's Tokwe Kute, our correspondent in Abia State, giving us an update on what is happening. One of those Can we say Abia is a battleground? Every state looks like a battleground.
I anticipated Abia to be a battleground state at a personal level, but a lot of people did not maybe see that because. But I think what really made it a battleground event, or making it look like a battleground, is the fact that the candidate himself, Alex Oti of the Labour Party, and then the performance of the Labour Party in the presidential election just gave it and just increased the profile of the party in that particular space. So that became something quite contentious. And given the fact that the governor is part of the G5 and he lost his senatorial ambition, so there's a mix of so many things that are playing out in the politics and the polity in Abia State that you could actually, say it may be one of the battleground states.
Well, it just depends on who is looking, really, because at the end of the day, it's going to be like, well, battling.
Now, maybe some battles are easier than the others.
Oh, really?
Another thing I'm sure a number of people are looking at is Adamawa Estate. Since, we last heard from INEC issuing a form to recompile the governorship election results for some of the areas. I think this was for Fufore local government area of Adamawa Estate. And this was after the crisis that erupted in the local government area, where it was said that miscreants carted away some results. I think the State Resident Electoral Commissioner said the commission was reiterating that they had no preferred candidate, and which was speculated in some quarters, assuring the public that the winner of the polls would be announced according to the electoral law without sentiment. But we will be talking to our correspondent there on the latest. We understand that that atmosphere is definitely bound to be tense at this time.
Definitely, it's a very strong contention. The governor is seeking re-election, and then there's a woman on the ballot. This time, I think the only state that has that as a front runner. I'm sure maybe there are other states, maybe other parties that have female as governorship candidate, but this is front runner, and it's causing a lot of tension in the state as we speak. So all eyes are on Adamawa. And remember, it's also the home state of the PDP presidential candidate, and the PDP won that election, the presidential.
I think our correspondent can join us now, Haslon Freedom. Haslon. Haslon, if you can hear me, give us a situation analysis of where you are and what's happening.
We'll take him as soon as we... Haslon, can you hear us? Well, I guess we'll definitely get back to him to give us a full, at least some understanding of what is happening and when we hear something more exciting about Adamawa State. But we have a couple of gentlemen with us in the studio right now to have some conversations around what is happening here. Please welcome with us Mr. Abiodun Shoumi, who is a social commentator. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
As well as Mr. Gabriel Okewu, who is a country director of budget. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Well, some have been called, some we're waiting for. New governors have been announced, some governors re-elected. Let's reference the headline, the front page of the Abuja Inquiry this morning. Seems to agree with Jeffrey since Saturday when this whole conversation began. Put it as close calls, upsets,
intrigues,
and intrigues. What's your take on that?
I think this cycle of elections, from the presidential election to this gubernatorial election, has shown us different dynamics, in our electionary process in Nigeria. First is the runoff to this election. We saw a very huge increase in voter education. We saw a lot of Nigerians ready and prepared to, come out and perform this civic responsibility like never before. I will also then say maybe there were some points of disappointment at the presidential election that now affected the gubernatorial election, because what data is saying now is you see instances of low voter turnout. Now, if you compare voter turnout at the gubernatorial election to voter turnout at the presidential election, you see some states recording low. Interestingly, right, in some other states, you see increase in voter turnout during gubernatorial election compared to the presidency.
Interesting.
Case in point, Ogun. Case in point, Kano State.
Kano is actually very, very surprising.
From results that have
almost
been
2
collected
million
so far, right, is showing that almost 2 million. And when you compare that to presidential election, put together, it was just about less than 1.5 million, right? But in gubernatorial, we are seeing almost 2 million. The same thing in Ogun State. In Ogun State, at the presidential election, put together was less than 300,000. At the gubernatorial, we are seeing close to 450 thereabouts, right? It shows that, so different dynamics are playing out currently.
Okay. Well, just before I bring on Mr. Biodun-Sowunmi, let me quickly introduce to us Professor Jidofo Adibe, who is a professor of political science at the Nasarawa State University. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Prof.
Thank you very much.
We'll be with you in a second, but let me just take Mr. Sowunmi up on this one right quick. There's always a lot of attention on executive elections to the office of the president or the governor. More attention on the executives as opposed to the legislature, without whom the executive will not be able to perform their duties creditably, legally, legitimately. How does that sound to you?
Yes, it's simply because of the nature of the system of government we're practicing. This is strictly presidential, where a lot of powers lies with the executive. It is most of the actions, the programs, the agenda, local issues are all from the executives. The role of the lawmaker is just to pass enabling laws where necessary and carry out oversight functions over the executive. So people tend to be more interested in the action itself rather than the oversight, of the actions that have not taken place. So you are bound to have more interest in the executive office. Unlike if it's a parliamentary system, you just simply focus on the legislature because the executive will emerge from the parliament, and therefore people focus on who their reps will be or member of parliament will be, and then what do you stand for, what do you represent, and how do you intend to push maybe welfareist agenda or maybe privatization and all that. And when they now get into parliament, they will now choose who should be the prime minister. So I think it's the difference we're noticing, it's the nature of the system of government we are practicing.
Okay. Yeah. But how much that significantly, Professor Adibe, how much that significantly affects how how it gets to governance? That's something one would want to consider. I mean, you're a political scientist, thankfully, so you might be able to help us understand what impact that would have on the deliverables of any of these people that have been employed by the people, whether into the legislature or into the executive.
You have to please, I didn't get the first part of what you said.
Can you hear me better now?
I got the second part of your... I missed it.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, a little better, yeah.
Okay. I was asking, I mean, listening to the response of Mr. Sowunmi to the question around a lot more attention being on the executive as opposed to the legislature, even though the executive cannot really do much without the empowerment of law as legislated by the representatives that have been employed into the legislative arm of government. How significantly do you think that will impact on governance and deliverables to the people?
Well, thank you very much. I think the belief across the country is that the legislature, especially at the state level, but even at the national, that they are mere rubber stamps. So that if you focus on the executive, and that's where the locus, the real power lies. And you can even see it in some of the statements in some places where, where we had state independent electoral commissions. The government in power will tend to win all the available seats. So the legislative arm is very important. It's very important, but in our own kind of situation, as my colleague over there mentioned, people are, tend to focus on the people with substantive power. Yeah, if it were to be in a parliamentary system, as you rightly mentioned, where the executives are, extracted from the legislature, then that would be a different ball game. I do believe, however, that as our democracy matures, and as some houses, some state legislatures start to show some independence, and some of the suggestions on how to improve the autonomy of the state legislature and the local governments, if they become more effective and they are not circumvented by the executive, then we are going to see a situation where emphasis should be more, so should start swinging towards the legislature. In the US, for example, in the American system, people who want to lobby actually focus on the legislature, on the Congress, because they focus on people who can make the right laws. But we do know here that even with the right laws, the executive branch can have a way of circumventing it. They can refuse to obey the laws, or they can make sure that it is observed in breach. So that's it's a cultural and environmental issue that hopefully, as we move up in the democratic process, as we mature more, probably we are going to see some changes in that direction too.
But even I was going to say, flowing from what Professor Adibe said, and this is to you, sir, Mr. Shomi, don't we need to amend the Constitution for this to happen? And, is that a possibility, looking at our history and amendments and all of that process?
No, it's practically impossible. Like Gideon mentioned, it's quite clear that politicians will look for a way around every single thing. It's the nature of the system of government we are practicing. You can't move away from it. The emphasis is on the substantive power. Who wields the power? This is the person that wields the power. People will gravitate towards where the power is. So in order to make it, to try and change that balance will entail changing the whole system of government. Otherwise, the emphasis will always be on executive.
But look at her question, my apologies. Yeah. Her question is around, if the whole attention is on the executive, it's perhaps because of the powers that the Constitution hands over to the executive
office.
So she's suggesting, what if there's constitutional amendment to dissipate some of those powers from the exclusive preserve of the executive, and devolve some to other segments of the state and the local government, so that there's not too much power.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to do that. That's the point I was trying to make. Look, you have the doctrine of separation of powers. The executive has its own functions. You have the legislative arm and the judiciary. The moment you shift power from one to the other, shift the functions of executive, to the legislature, part of it, what you now have is you have the man who is supposed to carry out the oversight functions actually, executing the project. So it's going to be an anomaly. It will never work. That's one of the issues many people raised against, the legislators wanting to carry out constituency projects, and eventually they have to look for another way of doing it through government agencies. They were initially trying to do it directly themselves. So there's no way you can shift it. The executive will remain the executive. Whether you move it from presidency, shift it, devolve to state, it still will get executed by the executive. If you shift any function to local government, it is still the executive at the level of local government that will do it. And that's the problem. It's simply because of the nature of the system of government we are practicing.
So I'm wondering, bringing it to you, Mr. Okewo, Is it a lost cause to expect the state legislators to hold the governors to account? Because at the end of the day, primarily what we suspect is where people, maybe the voter apathy we see, or people not just interested in who becomes their House of Representatives. Let's play with the numbers to see how significant. Kanu, for instance, there are 40 people in the House of Assembly. Lagos, about 40 people. There are states that have 32, 30. I think the list is 24, the least states in Nigeria. By the end of the day, when we're going to vote, as we voted on Saturday, everybody's facing the executive. Is it because at the end of the day, it's just a lost cause to expect these guys to hold the governors to account? Because we've seen a situation where the governors, if you don't agree with the governor, it's either your seat is declared vacant, and issues around. You see what happened in Edo State with the governor and some legislators and all of that.
A lot of this we first have to do with our value system as a people. And like you mentioned, we can't stay in the middle. If we are practicing a presidential system of government, which we have, a lot of power is going to be with the executive, right? And from what we have seen in our subnationals, it's becoming harder for the state's legislators to be able to hold the executive to account. I mean, even at the federal level, some of us believe that at the federal level we are not seeing that stern hand between the National Assembly and the executive. However, you see, if there is going to be any change at all in this, maybe by the time this whole 2023 election is over, because we're already seeing we are going to be seeing some interesting turn. We are going to be seeing like a state in Lagos, for example, and somewhere in the east also, we are going to be seeing the state houses of assembly being filled with representatives from different parties. What usually happens in Nigeria, which will take me back to our value system, once a party brings you in as a state legislator, or even at the national level, what we then see is everybody cross-carpeting from the party that brought them in to the party of the executive. And for as long as that continues to happen, which we believe the new electoral law will be able to, forestall, and we hope that that will happen, because I mean there were a lot of hopes on this new electoral law that were not up to our expectation at the end of the day. But until we are able to hold a high value system such that if a party A brings me into power, I stay in that party and perform my duty as an opposition of in that government to hold government to account, we are not going to see any change. Saying we should, if it is possible to amend the constitution, is going to be a conversation of if we want to move away from presidential system of government to a parliamentary system of government.
Just a quick one before I throw it to Ayo. Will anything change during this new dispensation?
I mean, we've had some forecast that we are going to have intriguing,
I mean, in the Houses of Assembly.
So, especially because the president just signed, Jeffrey, if you remember, the president just signed the bills, one of which is for autonomy to judiciary, autonomy to legislature. Please keep that answer brewing. Let's quickly take on our colleague in Rivers State, Charles Akurum. Charles, I can see you're set to give us more this morning at the Collation Center you're already at. So, what's likely to be new?
Oh, hi. Of course, I am in the Collation Center here in the INEC headquarters in Port Harcourt, River State capital. And collation was scheduled to resume today at 10 a.m. But we are here. The REC is not here yet. The state collation officer is not here yet. The Commissioner of Police is not here yet, but we understand that they may be in the office, because there are a lot of activities happening outside this building. Now, yesterday, 17 local government results arrived here. 17 of them came in, and so 6 are remaining. The 6 that are remaining are Port Harcourt City Local Government, Obiakpo Local Government, Degema, Akokotoru, Asaritoru, and Ahuda West. Now, a couple minutes ago, I was talking to a very high-ranking member of the commission, and he told me that 3 Three local government results have actually arrived. They are waiting in the office, and when collation resumes, they will come here to deliver them. The three are Asaritoru. The three are Obiakpo, Port Harcourt local government, and Degema. Now, Asaritoru, they had a rerun election yesterday, and their results have not yet come in. So they are expected to come in today. As for Ahuda West, there were a lot of problems. There was no coalition in Ahuda West yesterday. There were reports of disturbances in the coalition center. So as of this moment, what we know is that no coalition happened in Ahuda West. Now, is the commission going to score it 0? Well, we are awaiting the decision of the commission.
Charles, how did it go at Asaritoru yesterday, knowing that it's supposed to be a completely different, was it yesterday or day before yesterday, that was supposed to be a completely new election, so to speak?
So it was actually yesterday. There were fresh elections in Asaritoru yesterday. But interestingly, the feelers we got from there were that the elections went smoothly, they were peaceful. We did not hear a lot from Asaritoru yesterday, unlike the first day, which was the day before yesterday, when the elections held across the state. So I know some people who served as ad hoc staff in INEC, and I was consistently in communication with them, trying to find out if there were any disturbances or disruptions to the normal schedule. But they said no such thing. It seemed like they had come to an agreement that the elections would go smoothly. I'm talking about the different political parties, who are stakeholders in this election. So from Asaritoru, we did not hear anything untoward, and we understand that the collation of the results started late last night. I think they went into the early hours of this morning, and as of this moment, the results are expected in this place. Now, interestingly, yesterday I did mention that the Nigerian army carried out some arrests on election day, and they have in their custody, I think they arrested 49 INEC ad hoc staff who they say were caught in an event center, thumbprinting ballot papers on behalf of different political parties. They were supposed to parade them yesterday before handing them over to the police, but that parade did not happen because the army are conducting other operations and they want to combine everything. They don't want to do them in bits and pieces. They want to hand over everybody to the police at once. But the big news is that there may be some members, maybe 1 or 2 members, high-ranking members of the current government who were arrested by the army. They are keeping it close to their chest. They don't want to say who, but we do understand the feelers we have are that some high-ranking members of the government, either this administration or the previous administration, may have been arrested. But the army are keeping their cards close to their chest. They don't want to reveal who, but we know that in time, that information will come out.
I wanted to find out from you, Charles, we're quite synonymous with things that happen in Rivers State and how this will eventually play out. I wanted to find out from you, how soon do you think from the feelers you get? I'm sure you're getting some feelers of course, the number of results that have come in, the ones you're expecting, the big ones from Port Harcourt and Obiakpo and all of that. How fast do you think this process will be concluded? I'm saying that on the backdrop of 2019, things happened in Rivers State that forced the electoral umpire to suspend, not even, but the suspended collation over some controversy.
Okay, so for a moment I lost your voice, but I feel you were asking me how soon I think this process will be wrapped up. Is that what you were asking me?
I guess so.
Okay. I mean, the feelers I'm getting are that the process will end today. Yesterday was very fast. 17 local governments. If you contrast that with the presidential coalition, you would understand that yesterday was very, very speedy because during the presidential election, it took like 2 days. The first day of the election, the second day before the first results came in, and the coalition went on for 2 days or more. It was on the third day that the results were eventually sent, to Abuja. But for this one, 17 local governments came in 1 day. 6 are remaining. So if we continue to go by the speed of yesterday, I expect that by 3-4 p.m. today, everything should be wrapped up, and everybody should be free to go home and continue with their business. Now, Rivers State, will I say, is notorious for rerun elections after every election, if you like, because in 2019, just like you pointed out, there were rerun elections because of disagreements and all of that. But this time around, it seems like apart from Ahuda West, where coalition has been suspended, we are having a smooth result coalition here. no disruptions, no fights, no quarrels, nothing because of, I don't know how, maybe there's been some sort of agreement, it seems like they are turning a new leaf, unlike what used to be obtainable in the past. But from everything we are seeing, it seems like everything will be wrapped up today. Jeff?
That really would be wonderful to hear, because even one analyst had mentioned that the first day is usually Ekiti, all the results come in, while the last is usually Rivers. But yesterday we saw some fireworks, and this is amongst party agents after each local government was called, and they were disputing some of the results, Charles. And so with even these local governments that we're expecting today, what's the mood for the party agents, as they await collation to begin?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say again.
Well, what's the mood for the party agents? We know a number of them were unhappy, and they did express that yesterday, alleging manipulations with the results that were already called.
Did you ask if when collation would begin?
No, we've talked about that, but I'm talking about the mood where you are at the collation center as collation is about to begin, and I'm talking about that of political party agents. We know a number of them were unhappy with the situation yesterday. Charles, we might have to come back to you once we've sorted that audio. But back to our guests who are joining us. Professor Adibe, perhaps I should get to you. And this is flowing what we've seen so far. Rivers, quite peculiar. Yesterday, a number of political parties saying, they wanted their voice to be heard, arguing, disagreeing with some of the results that were called. And then, of course, we heard the collation officer say, write this up, bring this forward, document it, so that we can have it, in possession, and then look at this much later. But this is a process that we are seeing till the end, aren't we, Professor Jideofor Adibe?
Yeah, thank you. Let me, weigh in on one of the comments from the colleagues with you. They were discussing the functions of, the executive. They were talking about government being strictly divided into executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. I just wanted to add that there is sometimes, it's not exactly very strict. There's a sort of fluidity in the relationship between the three arms of government. For example, the executive branch can sometimes make laws through executive orders, and the legislature can sometimes perform executive functions through, for example, oversight functions. The judiciary, which is supposed to interpret the law, can sometimes make the laws through the doctrine of judicial precedent. The other arm of your question, again, the audio is not very clear. I wasn't very clear, so if you don't mind, you have to repeat that for me to get some aspects that I missed.
Professor Jideofor, we'll come back to you, but we understand that our correspondent in Adamawa has joined us now, Hassalon Freedom, to give us the latest of the situation there. Hassalon? Give us the situation reports in Adamawa where you are. All right, it appears to be a situation with the audio there, but we will come back because Adamawa, the last we heard there, INEC saying they will be recompiling the results for one of the local government areas, and this was after a crisis that erupted, I believe, for Fore local government area, where we understand miscreants carted away some results. We'll be talking to our correspondent, Hassalon Freedom, to give us the latest there.
Well, we're still sticking with you, Prof. The question that we've been asking you, the one that you said you didn't pick, I'm wondering which. But, you were speaking to the legislature, issues around the legislature the other time. Is that to say then that the functions, as you say, there's some fluidity in their arrangements to some extent, to some limited extent? Well, how do you react to what your co-guests in the studio said about the fact that, irrespective of what you said, that at the end of the day, it's the presidential system. There are solid lines, well, maybe some blood, but to a significant extent, there are lines drawn about the separation of powers, even though they have codependent authorities over themselves.
Well, I wouldn't say it's the presidential system. I would say it's the environmental variable. It is the way we do things in Nigeria because it works very well elsewhere. Executive orders, they are all accepted as, orders. It is accepted that the legislature could, summon, people and perform oversight functions. And so it is with the judiciary. But the problem is with our own environment. Even, for example, even if you strengthen the hands of the legislators and people know that the executive branch can pick and choose which laws to obey, and we have seen it here, they can pick and choose the laws to obey. And if that is the case, then it is understandable that much of the pressure will be on getting access to the executive. And that is why when we talk about state capture, the emphasis is not on capturing the legislature or the judiciary, because it is easier for the executive branch, actually, somebody who has access to the executive branch, which is regarded as the locus of power, to actually capture the other two arms of governance. If, for example, you're very proximal to the state executive branch, if your relationship with the executive is very strong, it's likely to percolate into the other arms. You can even see it in some of what is happening in the elections. While I believe there are a lot of challenges in the elections, in the outcomes that we have seen, we can also see some element of bandwagon effect just by the fact that Ahmed Bola Tinubu was pronounced president-elect, despite the fact that there are indicated both Atiku and P2B have indicated interest in mounting legal challenges. You see elements of that bandwagon effect in the results, and that is because of that belief. And as I said, is this something we can change? We can as well ask the question, why are laws not being obeyed? Has the legislature the same latitude to disobey laws as the executive? The answer is no. So it is still, again, flowing, relating it to our own political history, where until recently it was the rule of the military. Don't forget that it is that executive, under the military, you are looking at access to the Supreme Military Council. And that once there's an abeyance in the system, or there is a reversal, the first institution that is weakened is the legislature, which means again that it is more or less regarded as something that is, dispensable, something that people can do without. I mean, in a limited sense. So that's my position, that the major challenge we have, and it's probably not going to be solved overnight, and it's not something we can say we use the laws to overcome the problem. We've made laws so that we guarantee that the local government funds go direct to them. And do they happen? The problem is not laws. The major problem is implementation. And it's not just a problem of the executive, it's also a problem of the environment, that sometimes even the citizens themselves encourage what it's happening.
All right, Prof, let me bring the conversation back here to the studio. Let me talk to Mr. Shomi. If you become a Nigerian legislator, whether at the federal or the state level, and they don't see you do projects, what my brother from budgets will naturally track most of the time, constituency projects. It's like you did not perform. At the end of the day, more like, what did these guys literally wasted our time, because they want to see physical projects being done. But if we understand what their role is, that is really not what they are meant to do. How can we reverse this? Because trust me, if you or anybody here goes to the House of Assembly or National Assembly, and at the end of 4 years, and they can't point to projects that you executed, I'm not saying project you influenced to your constituency, it's almost like this guy did not do well. And that's not meant to be. How do we reverse that to make people see that, look, it's about policy, it's about lawmaking, it's about making your life better through legislation and oversight function?
Yes, there seems to be a lot of confusion in the minds of the electorates about the functions of legislators within our system. Everybody assumes that, or many people assume that you have to ensure that there's a kind of developmental projects going on within your constituency. And the pressure was so much that at a point in time, I remembered when Obasanjo was in power, between around 2002, 2003, the pressure was so much that the legislators started demanding, for their own budget to execute constituency projects. And at that point in time, we lost it. Rather than enlightening the electorates to say that, look, that is not the job of legislators, you need to go back to the executives and focus on them if things are not happening. The legislators are supposed to amplify your demands, your needs, but rather the National Assembly at that point in time caved in, and they started making budgets, and it was signed by the executive and all that. So that was, at that point, we lost it. We now need to go back and, create more awareness, voters' education, so that people can understand the essence of the executive, the role of the legislator, and as not to provide the dividends of democracy. The dividends of democracy you can get is through good oversight, functions, and also through making laws, not actually to implement projects. They can facilitate projects, but not to directly implement projects within the constituency. So but you can only achieve that through education. We have to increase, awareness. For instance, there's an agency which I don't even know what they do, what that agency is doing, why it's still in existence, because you hardly hear anything about them.
What agency?
National Orientation Agency.
You know what they're supposed to do.
I know what they're supposed to do. Are they really doing that? That should be a function, a duty for National Orientation Agency. If we can get a lot of awareness, raised around these issues, and people can clearly, differentiate from what the executives are supposed to do from what the legislatures are supposed to do, then we'll be making progress. So it's about education, educating the populace, let them understand the functions of each separate arms of the government. That's the only way to go.
Let me bring that question to budget. I know you track most of these constituency projects.
You seem to be emphasizing that track.
Yeah,
because they're trackers.
No, they track. Yeah. You track these constituency projects. Do you think you're doing anything wrong by tracking constituency project, or just because money was allocated for this constituency project? Or is there a way institutions like yours can help reverse this trend by tracking policies by legislators that have attracted dividends of democracy to their people?
Okay, so I think our first is to educate Nigerians, because constituency project seems to be louder, but constituency project is not the only thing we track in our.
No, I'm just not attacking your organization. I'm just with focus on legislators.
Let's even bring it down to focus on legislators and tangible projects. We extract, every year we extract all capital projects. That arm of our organization that track projects, we extract constituencies projects, we extract FG capital projects. They are two different things. And what we have seen, coming back to legislators, both at the national level and at the state level, reducing their work and how they can be seen to their people that they are working is if they nominate or sponsor a project or execute a project. No. The truth of the matter is for every federal government capital projects is going to be implemented in one state or the other, is going to be implemented in one local government, right? If our legislators, both at National Assembly and at state level, I mean, we have MOU with some states in Nigeria, and one of the things we do with those states that we have MOU with is to educate the states legislators in those states. We have already done half of the work for you. We have extracted all federal government projects, both the ones you nominated, both the one your National Assembly representative nominated, both the one federal government is going to, as in having plans and budgets to do. We are handing it over to you. Your work is to, as the representative of your people. I mean, what is the essence of representation? 3,000 of us living in this community cannot all be going to government at the same time. So 3,000 of us or 4,000 of us came together and said, let us choose one person that will represent us. That one person is then meant to, even without you sponsoring any project, if all legislators we do in this country is by monitoring, right, the project and the provision that are in the budget, by monitoring it and ensuring that it is executed where it's supposed to be executed, where it concerns them, well, we would have seen a lot of development than what we see today. But everyone in the legislators are just narrow-minded to, they believe it is what they can put their name on, that they sponsor this. So, for example, when we go to sensitize our citizens at the grassroots level, we will usually tell them the provision that has been made, 6 blocks of classroom is going to be constructed in your community. This was nominated by so-so legislators, or we say it is going to be implemented by this agency.
From the federal or the state level? Both
at the federal, where it is FG capital project or a constituency project. We give citizens all of those details, right? Now the question is, when citizens have those details, the next thing they should do is to go to their elected officials, their representative, to ask them, to demand about this project. We are aware that this is going to be done. How far about it? But the moment citizens go to elected officials to demand, right, they throw it off the table and start making, all sorts of tantrums that, oh, they are not the one executing. We are not asking you if you are the one executing. We are just saying, can you bring information to your people to say, oh, yes, it is true. This provision has been made for this. It is already in line. The contractor is coming to site and all of those kind of details, but we don't see them do that.
So in your tracking, some states are receptive while some, members are not.
To a very large extent, we are not going to even define receptive. What we are saying is still not there yet. What has worked, or what seems to be working in the recent time, is with our collaboration with other agencies of government, the ICPC, the EFCC. I mean, our politicians have also develop this thick skin to say, oh, budget or tracker, they are just shouting. Don't worry, in 2 weeks, all this noise will go down.
Well, it's interesting, I mean, that you talked about the functions of the legislature, members of the legislature. Meanwhile, they themselves don't seem to know. We've asked this question a few times this morning. Let me ask Professor Adibe, about that. I mean, we've been wondering exactly whether or not people who have been employed by Nigerians into various offices really know their job descriptions. And listening to Mr. Okewo now, it will seem like we need a little more political education. Where are we missing it from what you know, and of course going by your study of political science?
Yeah, thank you very much. Before answering that, let me comment briefly on I was quite interested in the conversation around constituency projects. Remarkably, the constituency project is also one of the reasons why it is difficult for legislators to be really independent. Because the constituency projects are to be executed by the executive. It's simply some capital projects in the Nigerian context that are inserted into the budget. So it is at the whims and caprices of the executive. If you're on the good books of the executive, then the executive will allow some of the constituency projects, to be in the budget so that when you get back to your constituency, you can point at the roads that you built or you attracted. You can point at a number of infrastructure you attracted, the number of jobs you were able to influence for your constituents, and that will put you in a better pedestal for re-election. So that's really one of the, on the one hand, it is good. On the other hand, it is one of the impediments, the Nigerian, what we can call the Nigerian factor, that impedes the efficient functioning of the state legislature. On the other question of whether they really know their job functions, they do. And they are going there. The job function is that, and I'm not being sarcastical here, that they know that the other person who went there to the legislature a couple of years ago, 2 years later, they can see the improvement in the person's financial circumstances. So they don't need more education. They just have to find out what did the guy do, or they have an idea of what the guy did in order to be able to improve himself. And they also know that for you to be re-elected, you have to have all ways of attracting projects. Sometimes projects that are not really relevant to your constituency, but you need to point something out. And that means for you to be able to do that, you have to make sure you have a constant, chummy relationship with the executive. So they do know. They don't need to read about it, even when it is written. They know about oversight functions. And I know it is one of the opportunities for accumulation. And it's more like one of those, you can quote unquote, behavior that you learn at birth. They already know what is happening. They can still read. When they read, it's more in two directions. How do I improve my circumstance financially? And how do I put myself in a better pedestal?
Even though you said you're not being
sarcastic,
if you can hear me, Prof, even though you say you're not being sarcastic, I'm just wondering how personal enrichment is the function that they are supposed to do or expected to do. Because listening to what Mr. Okewo said concerning how they go about their duties, they go to educate the legislator and say, okay, look, this is what you are supposed to do. Face what you're supposed to do. We will talk to your people so that they don't expect from you what you are not constitutionally required to do. Yet they continue to ask, as you have also reiterated, constituency allowances, which I don't know if there is any place for it in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but there are federal capital projects, which, of course, are still things that are budgeted for, legislated by the same National Assembly or State Houses of Assembly, and at the end of the day, supposed to be by them, with the names given to the people to know, to let them know that their legislators actually, supported, as Mr. Okewo has highlighted. So, practically speaking, Prof, do you think there is a little more enlightenment to give to the legislators, especially those that are just coming in?
Yes, let me say that there is a body, the Nigerian Institute of Legislative Studies, which I believe teaches especially the new legislators on the legislative process, on what is required. So technically, that's what I actually meant by saying I'm being sarcastical, because they actually guided. I believe that new legislators are guided on the process, legislative process, and what they are supposed to do. They also taught about the committee stages of the legislative work, because it's actually in the committee stage that most of the work is done, not in the, not when everyone is meeting together. But I think we also need to bear in mind when we talk about this allowance, when we are very critical of them, let us also bear in mind about the Nigerian environment. For example, if you are a member of, if you are a senator and you are invited to you are constantly invited to burial ceremonies, you're expected to go there and give envelopes wherever you go. So this is not something that happens in order. You can't go to a senator in the US and invite the person to a function and expect donation. People from your constituencies can write to you. They are not able to pay school fees. And they expect you. If you don't, you're a bad one. I'm not excusing some of those behavior. I'm just saying that sometimes when we compare the emoluments of our own legislators with the emoluments their counterparts get abroad, and we
apologies, we just have to cut in because we are already showing visuals live of the collation center in River State that is just kicking off today.
I want to also enjoin all of us to continue in that spirit. To continue in that spirit. So having said that, we will commence today collation with Obiakpo local government area. Obiakpo local government area, I hereby invite the EO and Obiakpo local government area, I hereby invite the EO and the collation officer to their desk. Thank you. You were showing me something. I think you were writing something for me. Yes. Okay. Then 6 is cancelled. But I'll make a statement on that. That's just write it. That's I hope that east or the west. It didn't confuse me. Okay, EO, take the microphone, introduce yourself, and thereafter give the microphone to the returning officer, or to the collation officer to also introduce himself. Thank you.
My name is BJ Ayidemo. I'm the staff for Obiakpo local government.
My name is Woki Godfrey Ngozi, a staff of University of Port Harcourt.
So, can we hear the outcome? Please, go ahead. Number of accredited voters.
Number of accredited voters.
Registered voters.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Number of registered voters. Total is 684,812. 684,812. Number of accredited voters. 67196. 67196. Parties. A 674. 674. AA 223. AA 223. AAC 54. AAC 54. ADC 93. ADC 93. APC. So ADP, sorry.
Okay.
ADP.
Thank you.
91. ADP 91. APC 7361. APC 7361.
Bauchi State, and the final calls are being made right now in Bauchi State. Let's take a listen.
221. 15221. Total vote cast 1,049,600. 1049 600. Now the declarations. I, Professor Abdul Karim Sabo Mohammed, hereby certify that I am the returning officer for the 2023 Bauchi State governorship election held on the 18th day of March 2023. The elections were contested and the candidates received the following votes. 1. Musa Magaji, Party AA, 629. 629. Idris Buhari Adamu, AAC, 283. 283. Sade Awal Tahiru, ATC, 1,571. 1571. Usman Dankerana Mustafa, ADP, 1,924. 1924. Abubakar Sadiq Baba, APC, 432,272. 432,272. Isa Awal, APM, 1,188. 1188. Kabiru Abdul Hamid, APP, 397. 397. Abubakar Ibrahim, LP, 1,488. 1488. Aliru Dauda Jika, NNPP, 60,496. 60496. Sade Suleiman, NRM, 1,155. 1155. Muhammad Bala Abdul Qadir, PDP, 525,280. 525,280. Umar Farooq Ahmad, PRP, 3,061. 3061. Mohammed Aminu, SDP, 4,335. 4335. Hassan Khalid, ZLP, 300. 300. That Mohammed Bala Abdulkader of DPP, having satisfied the requirement of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Thank you.
Breaking news just in from Bauchi State. Bala Mohammed, the incumbent governor of Bauchi State, has just been returned elected by the returning officer in Bauchi State. Gentlemen, well, we're seeing the numbers coming. Gentlemen and lady, I must say.
Don't worry, it's okay. It's all right.
There's something that I wanted you to remind us of, Jeff, which is the, the number of PVCs collected.
Yes,
and all of that.
PVC. This Bauchi State is the state that collected the highest number of, in terms of percentage now.
Yes,
99.0% of persons collected PVCs. 2.74 registered to vote. 2.72 actually went to collect their PVCs, and from the results we're seeing...
well, for the total votes cast, we're looking in the range of 144 million, well, 1,049,600. Yeah, trying to work around those figures, 1,049, yes. So, they were really invested in that. And looking at what the party that carried the day, Bala Mohammed's People's Democratic Party, he polled 525,280.
So he's joined the list of governors returning.
Indeed. Followed closely by APC's Sadiq Abubakar. Good showing as well, 432,272.
So if you look at that number, Bauchi, they are really, really conscious of ensuring that they put people in power. If you have 2.72, okay, less than 50%. But when you look at the numbers from other states, this is, if you have 2.72 going out to collect their PVCs, and over 1 million came to exercise their franchise or accredited to exercise their franchise. That's not bad when it comes to turnout.
Professor Adid, do you think it's that we have something to learn from? Oh no, let's quickly return to Rivers State.
Collation is continuing in the remaining 7 local government areas
in Rivers State. Oh, but we understand that, okay, there's a bit of lull. So let me take that question to you, Prof. Do you think there's something for us to learn from Bauchi State in terms of the number of the percentages that we have seen, percentage of PVCs collected, and the percentage of turnouts for the voting process proper?
Yeah, thank you very much. I can see that I think there are several number-lot factors that will have influenced such, or on the extent of mobilization. As you pointed out in your data, the gap between the number of registered voters and those that turned up to pick up their PVCs, it was quite high. So the inference should be that there was a sufficient mobilization. There was also probably not much incidence of violence, because violence is also one of the things that could deter people away from coming to exercise their franchise. And so if the governor had invested seriously in such a process, maybe then it is paying off. If you look at other places where there has been extremely low turnout, is either because people were disenchanted with the outcome of the presidential election and did not feel that it reflected their votes. In other words, that there was no point coming to vote if they feel that their votes would not matter. So in this case, even though it had always been thought that Bala Mohammed had a good chance of being re-elected, and there was the level of contention, the level of contention in that state was not as strong or as acrimonious as you will expect, say, for example, in Rivers, where you had a number of big contending forces staking in their own egos. So it's the election, say, in a place like Rivers goes beyond the candidates. It goes beyond the other forces like the Rotimi Amechi force, the Wike force, and immediately that people will,
In fact, Prof, if you don't mind me interjecting, it's exactly what is happening right now in Rivers State. So let's just dash right over to see, because there are some contestations already concerning the results that have been announced.
It's not a result, but a fabricated figure put together by PDP and the electoral officers. My friend BJ here knows me very well, and I know him. Ask him if my AJ collation agent was allowed in the collation center.
Okay, I think we are just repeating ourselves.
We are not repeating. It's annoying. Please cancel the election.
Thank you very much.
End the election now. Let us go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The man of glasses, yes.
My name is Barrister Kingsley Chukwu. I'm the state collection agent for PDP. I am the state collection agent for PDP. On a lighter note, sir, where the two gentlemen are sitting, that is where I sat yesterday. And I thought I saw a problem, so I came here. So, first, I am from Obiakpo. I voted in my unit. And I know that the procedure was followed from accreditation up to the end of the election. Now, Chief Ikoji cannot be correct to say that there was no collation in Obiakpo. He cannot. He is from Ikwere local government. He cannot come and tell me what happened in my own local government, Obiakpo. The man in Labour Party is from Emoha. He cannot come and say what happened in Obiakpo, my own local government. So there is no reason to stop the process, the exercise that is ongoing. Again, hold on, stop interrupting. Let's be mature, please. When you spoke, I did not interrupt you. Please.
Labour Party,
can we have peace?
Labour Party, please maintain decorum in this place. Please.
CB, please, I stand protected.
Please.
Now, the further point I want to make is this. Yesterday, when we concluded the exercise here, and your announcement is that when we finished the 17 LGAs, the announcement is that this morning we are to continue with the 6 remaining LGAs. And I think that that's what we are here for.
Thank you very much, sir. Sit down. Let me quickly address some of these issues being raised. Please, that election was held in your local government area, and you walk into the venue of collation, and all you say is a verbal presentation of what happened in your LGA, and you think on the strength of that somebody just stood up and said this was what happened, and on that strength, the returning officer should cancel the election. It is not done by law. Please, there's a review process. No, please sit down. 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 Sit down. Please sit down. Please sit down. Sit down. Sit down. I want to find out whether you are conversant with the Electoral Act. Are you conversant with the Electoral Act? If you are conversant with the Electoral Act, all this behavior will not erupt here, please. You have a process to follow. You have a process to follow. You have a section to follow, please. Please. Read the electoral. Go and read the Electoral Act and follow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I think that's a new case. Okay.
State Returning Officer and members of the High Table. My name is Chief Honorable Michael West. I am the State Collection Agent to APC River State. I just want my voice to be heard that my name is Chief Honorable Michael West. My heart is bleeding. It's bleeding for Nigeria after 60 years, and we are still where we are. This is not democracy. We have not practiced democracy. We are not practicing democracy. I want the world to know we should take a cue from the Western world, US and UK in particular. What we are practicing here, it is not democracy. I'm sorry to say it. Obiako result has been presented. My collation agent at the LGA level in Obiako was arrested and taken away. He wasn't allowed to enter the collation area. Results were whisked away precisely at Imodaya, Romolimeni, and I heard the result being presented here, collated and presented here. My heart is bleeding.
Thank you very much.
My heart is bleeding for Nigeria. It is quite and very unfortunate that we are putting in multi-billion naira in democracy and yet we are still at this level. It is very, very unfortunate. Now, we have not presented Asari Toro result. I'm from Asari Toro. We have not. We are collecting results yesterday, and all of a sudden, at about 12 minutes to 1, the results were carted away. APC was in clear leads in all the 13 wards and brought to INEC. For now, as I speak, I don't know the whereabouts of the materials. So please, I want the high table, I want the resident electoral commissioner, I want the service chiefs to know this. It is very, very unfortunate. And if we go, I want the president to also hear my voice. I think something has to be done in Nigeria. Otherwise, I am afraid. I am really afraid.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, the last person, please. The last person, please.
Good morning, Aro. Once more, my name is Matthew Osika. I represent Action Alliance. When you always emphasize that these complaints should be written, documented, and presented, I laugh. Yesterday, an agent of SDP in Okrika, as soon as I left here, called my attention and said, I saw you. Please let me inform you. I've also informed our state collation agent that they documented reports from Okrika and brought here on Sunday. And INEC staff told them they don't work on Sunday, but we collated results on Sunday. We understand that this whole thing is a drama performed on a stage. You have your role to play. They have their role to play. Our role is to shout. Part of your role is not to listen to us. The media has their role to play, to show the world what is happening here. We are in the last scene. This scene will lead to the declaration of result, and we will go. The next thing they will tell us is go to court. But there is an adage. When a man tells you go to court, look very well. It's either his father or his elder brother is the judge. That's why they will tell you go to court. At what point will these issues raised be investigated and then answers given before declaration? Please answer us, sir. Thank you.
Go back and read section 65 of the Electoral Act, please. Read section 65, please. Well, okay. Collation officer, please present your result. Submit your report. Thank you. No, chair it. Sign the stamp. The stamp. Sign on it. So thank you very much. You can step down. You can step down. You can step down.
Okay. We still have another result available for now. Port Harcourt, local government area. I think that's what we call Farga. I think that's what we call Farga. Farga. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Farga.
Jesus Christ. Wait. I didn't believe it's a crime symbol. Yeah, my friend. Wait. The result coming from Port Harcourt. Jesus
Okay, the EO of Farga and your coalition officer, please introduce yourself and let's make progress.
My name is Eze Amadi, electoral officer, Port Harcourt City Local Government.
Thank you.
I am Professor Paul Eke, collecting for Falga.
Thank you. Go ahead with your presentation.
All right. We start by knowing the total number of registered voters. We start by knowing the total number of registered voters. In Falga, 502370 registered for the election.
Take it again, please. 2370. 2370. Okay.
70. Accredited voters 47605. 47605. Now votes won by each of the parties. We start with A party. 981. A party scored 981. AA scored 338.
2 words.
338. 338. AAC 32. AAC 32. ADC 126. ADC 126. ADP 117. ADP 117. APC 8954. APC 8954. APGA 45. APGA 45. APM 19. APM 19. APP 53. APP 53. BP 29. BP 29. LP 4660. LP 4660. NPP 15. NMPP scored 15. NRM 151. NRM 151. PDP 26892. PDP 26892. SDP 3974. SDP 3974, YPP 71, YPP 71, ZLP 52, ZLP 52. Total valid votes 46509, 46509. Rejected votes 1094, 1094. Total vote cast 47603, 47603. I'm done.
Thank you very much. Okay, any...
Right, the coalition exercise going on in River State at this moment, and of course the contestations have been sustained, in River State. Most certainly the hope is that at the end of today a significant number of calls will be made. Let me stick with Jeffrey's word.
Yeah, that was what I was asking Charles then. How soon do you think this process? I'm familiar with Rivers and the elections there. It's always a very, very tense situation, and you can understand why. So you already see. I think of the results declared so far, from what we understand from our correspondent, just one local government was not contested. Literally every other local government has been contested by agents of other political parties against the opposition, against the ruling party. So we're keeping our eyes on River State, and we'll go back to River State as soon as possible. But we have some news for you from across the country. Let's begin from Kebbi State, where the Kebbi State governorship elections have been declared inconclusive by the Independent National Electoral Commission's returning officer, Professor Yusuf Saidu, in Berenin, Kebbi. Professor Saidu said the measures became necessary because there were breaches of electoral laws that led to the cancellation of results in polling units of 20 out of the 21 local government areas due to violence, disruption of election materials, and overvoting. But just before declaring the election inconclusive, APC was in the lead, was leading PDP with 388,258 votes against the PDP's 342,980 votes. So that's the news coming in from Kebbi State, that elections have been declared inconclusive by INEC. This is the first election in 2023 to have been declared inconclusive by the electoral umpire. Wow.
Well, there's more news, but let's return quickly to River State.
This is the collation results for Degema local government governorship election 2023. Number of registered voters 98671. 98671. Number of Accredited voters, 9380. 9380.
Very low.
The votes received by each party are: Party A, 261. Party A, 261. Party AA, 130. Party AA, 130. Party AAC, 18. Party AAC, 18. Party ADC, 52. Party ADC, 52. Party ADP, 55. Party ADP, 55. Party APC, 3107. Party APC, 3107. Party APGA, APGA, 30. Party APGA, 30. Party APM, 20. Party APM, 20. Party APP, 12. Party APP, 12. Party BP, 1. Party BP, 1. Party LP, 102. Party LP, 102. Party NNPP, 2. Party NNPP, 2. Party NRM, 168. Party NRM, 168. Party PDP, 4437. Party PDP, 4437. Party SDP, 579. Party SDP, 579. Party YPP, 144. Party YPP, 144. Party ZLP, 11. Party ZLP, 11. Total valid votes, cumulative, 9129. 9129. Rejected votes, cumulative, 251. Rejected votes, cumulative, 251. Total valid votes cast, 9380. Total vote cast, 9380.
Please give me the total valid votes again. Total valid votes.
9129.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Any cancellation?
No, sir.
Okay. Observation, comments? I think this one look a little bit interesting. Okay. Somebody raise up his hand there. Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to read parts of some section of the Electoral Act for you, but I'll wait for next local government.
Okay.
Mr. Returning Officer, sir.
Yes, sir.
The local government returning officer just declared that what he has yesterday as total number of accredited voters in Degema was 9,380. And what you have in your portal, INEC portal, not SDP portal, is 8,922. This is a clear case of overvoting. And also, it also showed that the ballot papers was not counted, was never counted. Rather, what they did, they waited for the accreditation to finish, hijack these materials to wherever, allocate the votes, and come here to announce. Ask the prof if my local government collation agent was there when he was entering this result. Please, I'm calling you again, sir. This is more than enough evidence, including the one in your own portal, available to you there, just a punch on your phone, you can see it. That this election is marred with irregularities. Please cancel this election.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's okay. I won't go further again because it's a recurring questions and recurring issues. There are avenues for us to address our grievances as provided by the Act, please. And this was exactly stated by our chairman, who gave me this temporary appointment. Thank you very much. Returning officer, collection officer, please submit your result, please. Just tear it off, tear it off. No, tear the original out. Thank you. No, assign the stamp. The stamp. Okay. Exactly. Okay. Thank you. No, let him also speak to some of these kinds of issues. It's not there. If there is any grievance, but we will do that every day. No, if you give, don't give them, they will say you are tonight. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Just limit it. We're waiting for two now. Asaritoro and Akukotoro. Let me tell you that.
As the River State Coalition Center, the work is ongoing, as you can see, local government after local government. And Jeffrey, as you mentioned the other time, it seems that every local government has called, and you know, there has to be one reaction or the other. But you know, that's not the only place where we've been having these conversations, Millicent. Indeed. Adamawa State, which we've been talking about, you know, trying to find out what's happening, has collation started, why it hasn't, what the atmosphere is. Our correspondent Hasselon Freedom has the update for us now.
The governorship and state assembly elections were concluded on Saturday, and on Sunday we gathered at the collation center by 10 a.m. As you already know, Adamawa State has 21 local government areas. And the collation started by 10 a.m. and by 4 p.m. about 15 local government areas have been collated and announced. And the returning officer announced another break for the collation to continue by 10 p.m. So by 10 p.m. the collation resumed, and about 3 more local government areas were announced, after which the returning officer announced that the collation will be suspended till tomorrow, being Monday for the continuation of the collation. That was vehemently rejected by the party agents at the collation center. So the returning officer was forced to continue with the collation. And at the time trouble started, 18 local government areas have been collected and remaining 3 local government areas. Then they tried to suspend the collation, but the agents refused. So the collation continued, 2 more local government areas and 1 was left, that of Fufure local government area. So far, 20 local government area results have been announced. The trouble started when they refused to announce that of Fufure local government area and tried to postpone the announcement till the following day. That again was vehemently rejected by the party agents at the collation center. Now, Fufure local government area is a place where it is believed that can affect the outcome, the general outcome of the results. So that was why there was serious trouble in that local government area. But what actually brought up the controversy was that at the collation center in Yola, in Fufure local government area, the center was attacked and the result sheets was seized by thugs. Now that prompted the REC to send a fresh results sheet to Fufure so that the results will be collated and brought back to the collation center. That was done and it was very late in the night when they came, and the people refused that the results must be announced. They tried to shift the results again, the announcement of Fufure local government area, but the people refused that the results must be announced there. So that was where controversy and trouble actually started. To cut a long story short, they could not announce the results of Fufure local government area. As I'm talking to you now, 21 local government area results have already been announced. What is left now is that of Fufure local government area. And the returning officer said it will be announced today when the collation resumes by 12 noon. So far, when we were leaving the collation center, thugs took control of the whole street surrounding the INEC office. Security agencies, the military and other security agencies were around and they were not allowed to leave the area. In our attempt to escape from the INEC office, my vehicle was attacked and the rear windshield of my car was smashed by the thugs. We narrowly escaped from the INEC area. So far, we will be returning back to the INEC Collation Center by 12 this afternoon. But the street on the road leading to INEC has been controlled over by security agencies. Nobody can have access to that place right now. From what I understand is that the whole city is calm, but people are afraid anything can happen. People are very careful how they move out, and the crowd outside the city is a little bit scanty. Not the usual hustle and bustle that you experience in Yola. Adamawa State governorship and state assembly elections were concluded on Saturday, and on Sunday we gathered at the collation center by 10.
Our correspondent Haslam Freedom giving us the latest from Adamawa State, where results are being collated and the controversy surrounding just one local government yet to be announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission. According to him, it's an important local government where the result could be swayed in any direction between the APC and the PDP. Remember, it's one of the states where the governor is seeking a re-election, Ahmadu Fintiri, against Aisha Ahmed Dahiru Ahmed, known as Binani of the APC. So it's quite a tense situation there in Adamawa, but our eyes are there to just make sure that we bring you the latest. That local government on the controversy is Fufure, as you heard him mention in that his reports Aslan, just keep safe and ensure you do your job, but as much as possible, keep safe. So we guarantee you right here on the verdict that we'll give you the latest updates as soon as we get them. Let's move on over to other stories. We also have information that the former governor of Enugu State and senator representing Enugu East in the Senate, Senator Chimaruke Nnamani, has withdrawn his membership of the People's Democratic Party as he expressed appreciation to his constituent for unalloyed support over the years. Senator Nnamani said he has consulted with his associates and constituents alike and have decided to quit the PDP on account of what he considers irreconcilable differences with the national leadership of the party. He said he has moved on and hope that his modest contribution to the development of his constituency will be building blocks on which his successor can build on. Remember, he just lost his election. So he was seeking a re-election into the Senate, but lost to the candidate of the Labour Party in that particular exercise, Kelvin Chukwu. So that's the latest we have from Enugu State.
What one wonders, is he, stepping aside to go somewhere else, or he's just stepping aside?
I think from the statement I read, at some point he was expelled by the party. What they'll categorize as anti-party activity, for his support for another political party's presidential candidate and all of that. So
well, it's very, very interesting. Let me ask you, Mr. Shomi, what your take is on all of this. You've listened to 3 different stories now.
Yeah, in the case of Adamawa, it's expected it will be highly contested by all the parties. The stakes are high. Not just the sitting governor, the presidential candidate of PDP actually hailed from Adamawa. He is from the place. And in the case of Benani Dahiru, we knew how the woman emerged. One way or the other, it took legal intervention and all that, and she became the candidate of APC. And all the major actors were rallying behind her, those who want to humble.
So just hold your thoughts for a moment. Let's just say that that's Senator Chimaruke Nnamani. I think the first slide was that of Ken Nnamani. We just need to make that quick correction. That's a slide of a picture of Senator Chimaruke Nnamani. You can continue with your thoughts.
Yeah, so those who feel it's an opportunity to have a dig at Atiku have an interest in Binani winning the election, and Atiku, those who feel we have to defend our territory are also trying to do the same thing. The interesting part in all this is that the margin of victory, so far, it's about 30-something thousand. Now, it depends on what the total votes or accredited voters in Furore, that will determine this election. And that is why it's being contested by PDP and also by APC. The REC is trying to manage a very difficult situation. The returning officer for Furore himself, I think is in hiding somewhere because it's a very volatile situation. In the case of Chimaruke Nnamani, I think it's expected. He did what they call anti-party activity. He didn't support the presidential candidate of the party. He opted to support someone else. And even at the point, I think he was listed as a member of the PCC of Tinubu Shetima ticket before they had to drop him. And so it's expected, he knew what would happen eventually to him. So he decided to, get out of the place. And then, don't be surprised, my own projection is he will probably end up in APC anyway.
Well, it's a blank slate, so to speak. I know that you would want to say a thing or two, Mr. Okewu, about that, and so would the Prof. Just to say that the Fufore local government results of 274 polling units, 272 have been completely uploaded on IREV. So exactly what is there to be hidden? Okay.
Left, and there is a lot of interest in Adamawa because that's also the state that has the female candidates.
And the candidate
only
of the
frontline
PDP.
female
The
candidate.
only frontline female candidate.
And that's also where the PDP presidential candidate hails from.
So there is a lot of interest there.
That's
so,
ground state.
Yeah, everyone is going to be, I mean, right now, because I know that yesterday, Sunday afternoon, practically all the local governments were completed. It was just this February that seems to be the determining factor that was being awaited. And if it is almost 24 hours now and it's still not out, you know, we are waiting to see what is unfolding there. Interesting also to see the first states being declared inconclusive. And, you know, we're already thinking we're not going to have such scenario in this election, looking at different, you know, happenings during the presidential and even the gubernatorial. We've had some war situation in other parts of the country, like, you know, Lagos here, and, you know, the INEC officials still went on with, you know, their activities. So it will be interesting to see how that unfolds. We are also watching Rivers live here now, very recently, and we are seeing a party agent disputing on the result that is being announced. So we keep our fingers crossed and see where this leads.
Well, Prof, and I know that your attention is also on this. Don't worry, the activities are still ongoing in River State. As soon as is necessary, we'll take you right back there. But Professor Adibe, your comments on any of these stories that we've updated? We've talked about Kebbi, we talked about Adamawa,
we talked about
Enugu, Enugu State, while Rivers is ongoing. Which of them takes your fancy and from what angle?
Let me comment briefly the one in Enugu, Senator Namani resigning his PDP membership, and we expect him to declare for APC any moment from now. As you rightly mentioned, that he was...
Are you really expecting him to make a declaration already, Prof?
Yeah, he slept. Most of the time he was in Senate, nobody heard about him. I'm not sure if he ever sponsored any bill. So his critics say he was sleeping through. And then suddenly, Tinubu emerged a presidential candidate with a good chances of winning. And or rather, after he won, or when he was running, he felt he could possibly be a Senate president. And then we started to hear from him. That's what his critics say. And then he was also in today's reportedly blaming Peter Obi and all this. But it's good that he lost. I mean, it's good that he considered defeat, not that he lost. And that the other tired tribe or other things that you were in a party, you didn't want to support your party candidate, and you expect to be given a special treatment. That will not deal with people. He is also very much linked to the Ebano group in Enugu State, which is more like his critics again say that the Ebano is like what you have in Lagos, where they use violence and money to sustain or replicate and reproduce leaders. So it is something we are watching and see if he will be rewarded. Just as we hear that Wike is going to be rewarded by Tinubu if the courts confirm his election. People are also very excited about Adamawa for the fact that it's going to be not the first time, because we had Mama Taraba who also put up a very gallant fight. But that's a very people the fact that a woman is contesting and has a very realistic chance of winning, and that the margin is very, very close. It's something that excites many people, and people are waiting to see how it will turn out. And we're just, again, the scenario in Taraba State seems to be playing out again, where the candidate was very close to the victory, and then towards the end something else happened. But we don't know yet. But for me, it is a very good development, and it's going to encourage more women to come and throw in their hearts into the ring and run for the governorship.
Well, yeah, it's very, very interesting how that is going. But then it also speaks to the level of, one, awareness and education. I think the disparity needs to be made in that regard. So, Prof, now that you say, it'll probably give more women a chance, an opportunity, the courage to throw their hats in the ring. It's another 4 years ahead. What would be your counsel as to how they should go about that? Having in mind, of course, that there are several other offices, including local government tier of governance in the country.
Yeah, I think they should start, I mean, there are no hard and fast rules about this, but you become more credible when you have cognate experience. Hitherto, we've had some people who, do not really are very convincing candidates, and they take advantage of the fact that some political parties waive expression of interest forms. So they pick the forms just to be in the race. And we remember the case of Sarah Jibrin, who's neither had any structure, no campaign office, and people said his only thing was to call former President Jonathan during the debate, my fellow candidate. So we need people to show people with more credibility, not just people who want to be counted or people who are positioning themselves or chasing clout with the expectation that, it will give them the visibility to be given political appointment. There are several areas they can start. Some that have made commissioners, some can go as appointed DGs of institutions. Some have distinguished themselves in the private sector. And I will actually think that women are very capable, but if they want to be, lap on the back of Beijing, what we call Beijing, that they must be given 35%, then people are, going to look at you as a quota candidate. But we have women of substance. If you look at the likes of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Chimamanda Adichie, several other women, Lakija, they are not necessarily people who wait to be given, some kind of special concessions before they can throw their hearts into the ring. You come into the ring, and when you're proving your mettle, then support will come. And that's what simply we have to say. And that now the glass ceiling is being broken. The fact that we can no longer say culturally you will not be accepted. Yes, there are still some glass ceiling in several places. The fact that this is taking place in Adamawa is very encouraging. The fact that it took place the other side in Taraba and was by a Muslim woman was also very encouraging. So once it is accepted as the norm, that there is no glass ceiling stopping you, I'm not just talking about women, people with disability, then, more people will be encouraged. And with time, it will become normal to see such faces in the race.
Yes, I know Mr. Shomi is leaving us very soon, but, because I remember we're talking about when Rivers was ongoing, collation was ongoing, and we heard some of the party agents expressing their objections to some of the results. You kept mentioning the Electoral Act, Section 65, but that doesn't, stop him from picking up the microphone and saying, this actually happened, this didn't happen, and the results, he objects to that result. Otherwise, that would mean they should just come there, sit down, listen to the announcements, and go home or go to court.
At the stage of collation of results, you still have a right to make objections. But according to the Electoral Law 2022 as amended, the returning officer or the collation officer has the final say. You will make your objections, he will observe what you have said, and whatever he declares, including the result, is the final. After that, that's the provisions of Section 65, subsection 1, A, B, C. After that, you still have another window. The other window is you have 7 days, to make representation to INEC to review the outcome of that election. INEC will review it. They could still maintain their position on it. and then the other option is to go to tribunal. So it's quite clear. There's no point in disrupting coalition. You can make your viewpoint. There's still windows, room for seeking redress, and if you can't get it resolved, then you go to tribunal, which is good. The only thing which if you will permit me to highlight this, which I think is very interesting, is the turnout in the north. The female turnout in the north seems to be a lot higher than the south. I don't seem to understand I don't think it's about Binani. It's generally throughout the north, you tend to see more women participating, whereas in the south, we have less women participating in the election. I don't know what accounts for that.
Well, I think, was it Prof or Mr. Okeowe that was saying that maybe we need to have a study of sorts on that
it
one?
Will definitely be, this is election will be
yes,
studied.
we need to go back to Rivers State, but let me just take your last words for 30 seconds, Mr. Okeowe.
Well, I mean, this election is, I think this election is going to be one that will keep the judiciary very busy from the look of things.
No doubt.
And we are going to be waiting to see how that is going to turn out, where things are going to be confirmed, already pronounced results are going to be confirmed, or, re-election or evaluation is going to happen, and we are waiting to see how that will unfold.
Certainly.
Or rerun. We want to appreciate you for coming on the program, Mr. Gabriel Okeowe, Country Director, Budget, also yourself in Lagos, Mr. Abiodun Shomi, Social Commentator, and Professor Jideofor Adibe, Professor of Political Science, Nasarawa State University. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us on the program.
So it's time for us to return to Rivers State now, and let's see what's new.
APM 15, APP 8.
Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
So you are too fast. So start from APC. No, start from APC.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
APC 3724. APC 3724. APGA 16. APGA 16. APM 15. APM 15. APP 8. APP 8. BP 7. BP 7. LP 61. LP 61. NNPP 0. NNPP 0. NRM 51. NRM 51. PDP 6273. PDP 6273. SDP 222. SDP 222. YPP 4. YPP 4. ZLP 2. ZLP 2. Total valid votes 11150. Total valid votes 11150. Rejected votes 305. Rejected votes 305.
Total votes cast 11455. Total votes cast 11455.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any cancellation? Any other cancellation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's hear them now. How many words? How many units?
And one of the words is this one is 1 unit.
Okay.
This is 1 unit. This is from the PO. This is from PO.
But you should enter into the
It was entered.
Okay.
It was entered. It's entered, yeah.
Okay.
Then this is at the ward level on Ward 15. Ward 15 has 5 units. 5 units. And total number of registered voters in that unit is 1017. Number of PVC collected is 962.
Okay.
And they have all been entered accordingly.
Thank you very much. Please, Secretariat, take it up and then record appropriately. Okay, back to the audience. I think I saw one hand.
Is there reasons?
Yes, reasons, okay.
Okay. In PU 006, the reason is BVAS malfunctioning. BVAS malfunctioning. In PU 016, there were no votes. 022, no votes. 026, there was no election.
Why?
025.
Why no election?
No election.
Why?
I do not know because the
How will you not know why you are writing my election?
Hello. At the onset, the collation officer said that this was what was handed to me from the ward level. He said so. If you heard him very well, he said this was what was handed to me by the ward collation officer.
We are not saying different.
Thank you.
He said he does not know. We are collaborating. They are not aware.
If they are handing over to him from one level, you should ask, why is that the election? Because he's to report. He said he doesn't know. He does not know. But he knows how to feel your case.
It's okay. So, returning officer. Okay, give that one back to him. Okay.
Thank you for telling us.
Yes, one more person. Just one person, please. One person.
We are all political parties and we all have different interests.
Okay, because
we all have a stake in the election. So you cannot say
give it to the APC. No, wait. Let's hold on.
The State Returning Officer, the Federal Commissioner, members of the High Table. My name is Chief Honorable Michael West. I am the State Coalition Agent to APC River State, and I want it to be on record that the result that was just presented, announced, Akutor local government area is the local government area of our governorship candidate, architect Pastor Tonye Cole, and there were clear case of beavers being hijacked, materials being hijacked, and collation agents were restricted or denied to go to the collation area. And the results that have just been announced is a cooked up result. That is a stronghold of our candidate. He is from Kalabari Kingdom. Even Delga, I didn't want to say anything. Delga is Kalabari Kingdom. So it is very, very unfortunate, and I just want to be on record to express my displeasure on what is going on or playing out in River State. This is not election. This is the clear case of hijackocracy, not democracy. Hijackocracy,
we are going to learn
not
some
democracy.
Thank you very much.
Please let me be on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, give it to that young man behind.
Thank you, Mr. Returning Officer.
APC coalition. Can you get the spelling of jactocracy? Okay.
Our State Returning Officer, sir.
Yes, sir.
I am a little worried. Once more, my name is Matthew Osika, Action Alliance. I'm a little worried. Yesterday, the State Coalition Agent for People's Redemption Party, PRP, came here and reported to us that PRP, I'm coming, sir. Results in numbers.
All right, guys, well done.
Activities in River State is taking some interesting angles. For now, we'll most certainly get back there as soon as we can. But, you know, I mean, just as we were talking about the other political parties, and particularly the local governments in that election, particularly in River State, already as at a few minutes ago, we had more than 83% of votes cast of the results from the wards already uploaded on the IRF portal of INEC. So with that, I mean, it's only a matter of time. Within how many seconds now before we actually see the final results come in?
So I'm looking at some of the results here. We can see, so let's get through the results that have been announced so far from the River State Collation Center. We have results from Tai local government area, Opobo Nkoro local government area, Gokana local government area, Ogubolo local government area, Eleme local government area, Ikwere local government area, Oyigbo local government area, Eche local government area, Kana local government area, Boni local government area, Ahoda East, Omuma, Okrika, Andoni, Abua Odwal. We have Emoha, Ogba Igbem and Doni, Obiakpo, Port Harcourt City, Degema, Akuku Toro. So we just have about all of that.
Already?
22 more left, so one more. Yeah, we're expecting Asari Toro. Okay, we have Akuku Toro, yes, I just added that. Akuku Toro local government has been announced. I think the one we're all waiting for is Asari Toro local government area. So these are the results that have been announced so far from the River State Collation Center. As reported by our correspondent earlier, he talked about contention and complaints. These political parties, some of them, the agent disagreeing with the results, some even calling for outright cancellation of results, as we've been seeing and been watching so far from the River State Collation Center. Remember, we're across board following the elections, wherever it's happening in terms of collation. We've had so far about 13 or so states being announced. Let me run through some of the states that have been announced so far.
Well, just before you do that, just another update.
Another update,
this time from Imo State. The All Progressives Congress, APC in Imo State, has won 26 seats out of the 27 seats in the Imo State House of Assembly election conducted last Saturday. And according to INEC, in Imo State, only results from Ahiezu Mbise is yet to be declared, as election in the area is declared inconclusive. They are alleged. Meanwhile, the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party in the state have both rejected the outcome of the result, describing the election as a sham. They allege that INEC and security operatives in the state collided with the ruling All Progressives Congress to manipulate the results in the election in favor of the APC. Of course, on the other hand, the ruling party, the APC, has congratulated all the members-elect, describing the outcome of the election as the true wishes of Imo people and result of the commitment and developmental contributions of the party led by Governor Hope Uzodinma to the welfare and well-being of Imo citizens. The APC described the allegations by the Labour Party and the PDP as untrue saying they are bad losers whose claims of winning the election is a figment of their imagination. That's in Imo State. Meanwhile, in Abia, of course, while we await the commencement of the collation of results at the collation center in Umuahia, the Abia State capital, tempers flare at the collation center as party agents from different political parties charged at one another after a heated argument on what they say is interference of agents of a political party during the collation of results by some electoral officers within the hall. So there we have what we have for now.
Well, it's a different stroke for different folks. So wherever you're looking at this from, at the end of the day, so we've just been going through different states. We remember that we told you that the first election to have been declared inconclusive in the 2023 governorship and State House of Assembly election is the election in Kebbi State. And the electoral officer cited some things that happened in terms of overvoting. Let me go back to that story. Yeah, cited overvoting, disruption of electoral materials. But before it was declared inconclusive, APC was in the lead with 388,252 votes as against the PDP's 342,980 votes. So we're following through. But the states that have been declared and concluded so far, the first was Oyo. That's the very state that was declared very first yesterday. The incumbent governor, Seyi Makinde, having been re-elected. And then we had Akwa Ibom, and then Gombe, Yobe, Jigawa, Kwara, Ogun, Katsina, Sokoto, Kano, Nasarawa, Lagos. Okay, we're waiting for Rivers. Bauchi, and we're waiting for Rivers. Is it time to go to Rivers now? Are we ready for Rivers?
Perhaps before that, when we look at the, governors seeking re-election, I think we had about 11 of them.
Yeah.
11. But now it seems we're waiting for 1, 2, 3, about 3 now.
Yeah, we have
we're waiting for Adamawa, we're waiting for Borno, and then we're waiting for Zamfara.
Well,
okay.
So depending on whose side of the divide you are, it'll be very interesting to find out exactly who are you waiting to be called, in any of those states. And but for me, I keep maintaining, ladies and gentlemen, that at the end of the day, what is important is how does this help reduce the multidimensional poverty figures? How does this help with education? How does it help with health? And all those things. Those are the extremely important issues for people. Let's not let there be no dichotomy of the education is better in the north, is not so good in the south, or health is better in the east, it's not so good in the west. We shouldn't have all that. It should be equal. Or am I missing something? Because it's the same medicine everywhere, isn't it?
One of our guests did mention that the poor person in the north, I picked that. He said the poor person in the north is not different from the poor person in the south.
It's the same thing.
The bottom line, the common denominator is poverty. And when there is over 100 million people, by the numbers about 133 that by multidimensional poverty are poor, is worrisome. So it is not just the federal government, which is why we have state elections. So I was telling you guys that I looked at the map and I was seeing that in the Northwest, for instance, they're going to have a lot of new governors, literally. So we expect fresh ideas to be represented in those areas in the Northwest. And if you go to the Northeast, when the elections are called eventually, if all of the guys who are trying to return, because 5 of the 6 of them are trying to come back, if the elections are called, it's going to be more of not necessarily fresh ideas. It's going to be consolidation. So whether there will be spark, there are instances where we've seen that second-term governors, they become redundant. Like, well, they are not contesting again, so whatever happens. Is that going to be the case, given the situation we're in? Well, we'll see. The North Central is a mixed bag because we have an off-cycle election somewhere, so there's no election in Kogi. But we have other states where new governors will emerge, places like Benue, I think places like Taraba, but we have places like Kwara, the governor has just been re-elected and all that. So it's going to be a mixed bag between people trying to consolidate. That is if they are returned.
Jeffrey's projection.
Yeah, if they are returned. it's going to be a mixed bag of ideas.
You know, some people even disagree with the figure by the NBS, multidimensional poverty. They're saying those figures can actually be higher, you know, than what we're told. So it's a big factor to weigh in for the governors, and this is looking ahead of what the ideas that they have for their states, for the people, and moving the country forward.
We won't have any significant change in trajectory or direction if that handshake between the federal government's trajectory and the state governments do not have harmonization. At the end of the day, we need to agree, what do we want to be known for as a nation? That conversation needs to be heard. I know, I mean, every one of us agrees that we have some problems with our politics, but how is it going to be fixed? That conversation needs to be heard, otherwise.
There's another part we're talking about, but because we didn't have the opportunity to go back and discuss with Mr. Okiowo, who is from Budget, and I was asking him, the truth is that you can go to the website, maybe Budget Office, and see the federal government budget as far back. But how many states can you go to right now, as we speak, and find their state budget?
That question we can ask of PLSI. They seem to focus more on the states. You know, but, you know, we need to take a bit of a break now. Take a few messages. River State is still quite active. But as soon as we return, we continue our conversation, ensuring that you get the important gist about the 2023 elections. This is the 2023 Verdict State Election Studio of Channels Television. We're right back.
Stay with us.